an urban legend. Contemporary folklore passed on as a true story.
You want burgers, hot dogs, some chicken, and ribs. Yeah! Yeah! Yeah!
Night of the Horror File.
I'm going to get some baggy jeans, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get some frosted tips going on.
No.
I'm going to wear a suit vest at all times.
No. And you're never going to have sex again.
Nope. You know, today's movie doesn't have that kind of 90s stereotype feel to it. I got to say.
No, not really. Except for Tara Reid.
Yeah. Oh, Tara Reid. Anything, whenever Tara Reid pops up, you're like, oh, yeah, the 90s existed. And the early 2000s, for that matter. But, welcome to Night of the Horror File. And if you're confused about that little conversation we had at the opening, you'll understand pretty soon. This is a horror movie podcast where I take a horror movie or genre film and show it to my beautiful wife, Brittany, who then puts her input in. And sometimes it's bad. Sometimes she does not.
My input is bad?
Sometimes you don't like these movies.
That doesn't mean my input is bad.
No. Now, if you're just jumping in and joining us and you haven't listened to episode 1 of this month, which is the beautiful month of October, go back and listen to that, man. It is a nice little opener to what we're doing here this month, which is 90s Slash-O-Rama month. Yay. Light applause. Madman in the morning. No, anyway, sorry. Well, that's what the shock jocks always use. That beer. And then a toilet flush.
Okay.
It's
I
loosely with ew.
Loosely.
Ew, loosely.
Loosely.
Anyway, I'm sorry, you guys. Well, I'm not a shock jock, but anyway.
Apparently you are.
So yes, it is not. It is 90s Slash-O-Rama month and the beautiful month of October, which is Halloween. And I'm so excited. And everybody needs to chill out. Because there are a lot of Halloween gatekeepers out there who think you should specifically watch everything that they deem horror. But if something's spooky, watch it. It's the spooky season, man. And then you also
Even
got
if it's just cats.
Yeah, that's scary as fuck. Cats horrified me. I mean, Jesus Christ. Shimble Shanks or Fumble Fanks or whatever the fuck those names were. Cats. We'll do cats on this show at one point. That's what we need to do. Anyway, what did we watch this week, though?
Urban Legend. What?
I'm sorry. This movie, I have a love-hate thing going with it. Hate is a strong word. I think this movie is stupid as ever-loving hell. Out of all the movies that we'll cover this month, I think this is the dumbest.
Okay.
Like, not saying any of these are really smart except for our last movie of the month, which we'll get to that. But this one's stupid, but it's a lot of fun, I think. I think it's a fun stupid. But the problem is, and we'll talk about it, there is a lack of blood. And that's an issue.
Yeah.
That's an issue when you have a stupid movie, I think.
More blood, less talky.
Yes. Your movie can be dumb as ever loving shit. But if there's no blood, it's no fun. But this one skates the line, I think. But anyway, talk about a franchise that couldn't figure it out. Man, the sequels are completely different stories each time.
How and why are there sequels?
Oh, there are sequels. There are 2 sequels to Urban Legend, and I'll discuss those at the end of the show. So yeah, those sequels are way out of left field, and they're terrible movies, but kind of okay. But anyway,
what?
But we're not here for that. But we're not here for that. We are here for the first movie, Urban Legend, which it was first developed as a concept by writer Silvio Oh God. But by writer Silvio Horta. And the late Silvio Horta. I think we lost him a few years ago in 2020. No, 1 year ago. Is it 1 year? I can't. The dude, 2020 and 2021 are running together, and I'm done.
Me too.
I'm like, I'm not even gonna say 2022 is my year because it's probably not gonna be.
It's not going to be anybody's
It's not gonna
year.
be any good. I don't know. We're gonna find out Jesus exists, and he's gonna kick me in the dick or something like that. I think that would top it all off, really.
What-
But anyway, that was out of left field. But but yes, Silvio Horta wrote today's feature, and also Kevin Williamson isn't involved in this week's episode, so you can take a break and not have to hear me suck Kevin Williamson's dick for a little while. I like his
Okay.
writing. I know a lot of people. Well, not a lot of people. There are certain people who have a problem with this month's, movies.
Why?
I don't know. But to me, these were fun, man. But the thing to remember is they were cranking these things out. This is 98. Scream 2 had already come out in 97. The first Scream came out in 96. I Know What You Did Last Summer came out in 97. And then I believe this same year, no, it was 97 again. I think it was the same year. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer came out. So they were churning these motherfuckers out. So the problem is, and I believe you asked me about this because you were like, why did you keep mentioning Scream on last episode? Which, by the way, I'm not going to mention it so much this episode. It's just that first episode was an opener. So it was important to kind of talk about it.
Was it though?
It kind of was because you can, the problem with these movies is you can barely get away from comparing them to Scream, especially during the time. Nowadays, it's not so hard. Because these movies have sat around for years now. And so we have a little bit of time to kind of take these and, consume them bit by bit instead of all in a span of 3 years.
Right.
And that was the problem. And so like a lot of people kind of, it was impossible not to compare to Scream, which had started this formula. I mean, this movie alone, Urban Legend, I believe, sticks more closely to that Scream formula, man. Like you have an opening victim. Then it goes immediately to the kids at the school talking about the victim, just like Scream. So like this one is, I'm not going to say it's a copycat. I think that's kind of unfair because of course there was going to be movies that followed that formula. Scream was amazingly huge.
Right. Like
it was insanely influential. So like you can't really fault these movies for wanting to follow that. I mean, that's how it happens. One movie becomes super successful. So then you have a million different copies that come out after it.
Right. I like the different adaptations. Mm-hmm. That's a good word for it. They're different adaptations of this.
Yeah, I agree because the same bare bones that made Scream successful is in Urban Legend, Right. So I totally agree. But anyway, Kevin Williamson is involved, long story short. But Joshua Jackson is, and I'll get to that later.
Why do you hate him so much?
I think, I don't know. I find him so bland to watch.
Okay.
And he's supposed to be a comedic relief in this movie. And I'm not feeling it. Which we'll get to the characters in this movie, but I don't think I like any of them.
Okay.
I think I hate all these characters. But anyway, we'll get to that. Later. But Horta is most known for developing the show Ugly Betty, which itself was based off a telenovela Colombian television show from 1999. And I haven't seen a lick of either of those because it looks like my idea of hell.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Oh, man. Somebody was like, you ought to watch Ugly Betty. You'd love it. I'm like, I saw a trailer and it looks like I'd rather drive a nail through my toe. I'm not good. No, thank you.
No, good.
But
thanks.
Anyway, Horta had recently graduated from NYU, and to make money, he was working the perfume counter at a Nordstrom, actually.
Oh, wow.
Which this all took place in 97 when he pitched the idea of Urban Legend to producer Gina Matthews and Neil H. Morowitz, who Morowitz actually produced I Know What You Did Last Summer. So the trend of all these movies being connected by people and all sorts of shit continues today. There are a lot of threads connected to all these movies.
I feel like we're really stretching this thread, though.
Not really. when you get down to it. Here's the thing. I'll get to it, but Morowitz produced I Know What You Did Last Summer. And then he agreed to co-produce with Michael McDonald. Not Michael McDonald. Michael McDonald. Not the singer. You know. What a fool believes. Okay, my bad. That joke did not go over.
I was like,
Brittany's just staring at me like I don't know any of what you're talking about.
I didn't even understand what you were trying to sing.
You didn't need anyway. It's a failed bit. Let's just move on. So Urban Legend kicked around to several studios and no one wanted this thing. But Horta took a gamble on Phoenix Pictures, a company who had just started and only produced a few flicks like People vs. Larry Flint and a few other okay movies. I don't know. I know a lot of people really like that People vs. Larry Flint. I don't like it at all.
Okay.
It's kind of like nails on a chalkboard to me, but I understand some people really enjoy that movie. But, they only had, I think, 5 movies before this. And the People versus Larry Flint is the only one I can think of. So kind of shows you, there wasn't a lot going on. So they were kind of young. So like he took a chance on them, which by the way, you get to see their opening at the opening of this movie, their little logo come up. Did that, I don't know why that reminded me of like, Are You Afraid of the Dark for some reason? Like when the match strikes up.
I guess I didn't see that.
You didn't see the, oh.
I guess I didn't. I don't know.
You watched this on a streaming service. I don't know if that's on there.
I don't remember it. No, I don't think it was on there.
Might not have been.
I'm sorry. I did not watch the DVD.
That's okay.
I'm not a true fan.
You're not a true fan of Urban Legend. How dare you?
I'm not
How
a true
dare
fan.
you? How dare you, madam? We're talking fine art today. Urban Legend.
Fine art, huh?
Fine art.
Fine
art. Not a tit to be seen in this movie. Anyway, we'll get to that too. But my idea of fine art is not everybody else's. But anyway, so with Phoenix Pictures, Horta and like producers and stuff, it was time to find a director. Now, director Jamie Blanks almost directed I Know What You Did Last Summer. He was very close to directing I Know What You Did Last Summer. But he came to the producers of this film's attention when they saw his student thesis film, a short horror flick called Silent Number from 1993. And you can actually go see his short film on YouTube, by the way, if you care to look that up. Now, Blanks had already been eyeing, he wanted to direct a slasher of his own during this time. And who fucking didn't?
Right.
Shit, everybody wanted to get a hand in this pot. But I can't really say Jamie Blanks is like a bad director or a good director. I mean, I think out of his movies, I've only seen this one. Oh, no, I've seen another one. I'll talk about that in a second.
Okay.
But I've only seen 2 of his movies, so I can't really tell you if it's good or bad. And I think the second movie he did is a little better than this, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
Okay.
I'm going on all sorts of tangents tonight.
Yes.
Filming began on April 20th, 1998 in Toronto, Canada. I think it lasted about 53 weeks.
What? That's over a year, right?
Weeks. I did this on the last episode, didn't I?
I don't know.
I'm getting weeks and days mixed up. 53 days. I'm
okay,
sorry.
Okay.
I'm
I was
sorry.
like,
wow.
over a year?
You're like, it took them a year to make Urban Legend. Why haven't you made a blockbuster?
What the
No,
hell?
it didn't take them a year to make this. 53 days. My bad, everybody. And the Haunted University, you see, because this was in Toronto, Canada. The Haunted University, which we'll get to that too. These kids go to These kids go to Scooby-Doo University. But anyway, the university you see in the movie is actually the University of Toronto. And this is actually the same location where Killer Party was filmed in 1986. So, which don't worry, we'll cover Killer Party at one point. It's one of my favorite, like, lesser known movies from the 80s.
Killer Party. Okay.
Yeah, it's fun. But anyway, with a handful of known, like, kind of known and new actors, we got our feature today. So let's dive into Urban Legend from 1998.
So a woman named Michelle cut your feet off and ate them.
Ate them?
Ate them.
Doing cannibalism now. Damn. Getting violenter.
Violenter? That's not a word.
No, it isn't. I'm surprised you haven't done any dick trauma yet. I'm waiting for that.
I think I have before.
Has there been dick trauma?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tweet us. Let us know if there's dick trauma in any past episodes. But anyway.
There's lots of movies with dick trauma.
Oh my God, right? But this flick isn't as beloved as the other movies in that we'll cover this month. But I still think it follows, like I said, that formula of the late 90s. Or, you know, some people think the late 90s was plagued with this. I heard someone say the 90s didn't have any good horror.
What?
Yeah, I was like, what are you talking about, man?
Did you watch anything?
I watched most of all
Not
of them.
you.
No, I know, but I watched most of these in the fucking theater. In fact, all the movies this month I watched in the theater. Saw Urban Legend up in the fucking theater.
Sounds about right.
Oh yeah. Well, it was a time to be alive, man. This is the second slasher boom. You know, but you know, if you're just joining us, it's important to note that this month was Brittany's programming. I mean, she picked most of these movies. I think I suggested the Halloween movie that we're doing next week, which I'll talk about which one that is at the end of the episode. But you did most of those, and before I suggested the Halloween movie, I did think we should. I was really trying to figure out if we should do The Faculty, which is one of my favorite movies. And again, I saw it in the theater, but it didn't really fit in with the slasher angle we're going for this month because it's mostly alien invasion and not a lot of people die in that movie. It's not so much a slasher.
I'm glad you didn't suggest that because you know I don't like alien movies.
Oh, you would love this alien movie.
I don't believe you.
You would love it.
I don't believe you.
It's got Elijah Wood in it.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah. It's got Josh Hartnett.
Why did you say it like that?
That's his name, Josh Hartnett.
I know, but you said Hartnett, like it was two different last names.
I don't know. I think I'm talking to like the Krusty Dean in today's episode. Fucking The Weekend. It's The Weekend. This guy's obsessed with The Weekend. We'll get to that. I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. But I really was trying to figure out if we should do that, but I was like, nah, it doesn't quite fit this thing going on, even though it's written by Kevin Williams.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, he ruled the late 90s. He was the man. But it's interesting to note that Jamie Blanks, and I mentioned there was a second movie that I've seen of his. He would go on to make another, it's kind of a less talked about slasher. Less talked about at the 2 years ago, less talked about, but now people are mentioning it again. But 2001's Valentine with David Boreanaz and stuff. I can't remember anybody else who's in that movie. I'm sure there's a lot of big names in that movie, but I'm drawing a blank. That was a good movie. I actually really liked that one. It came out in 2001, and it was a good slasher.
Okay, I'll have to take your word on that.
It's one of the few. Well, there's a few, but we don't get too many Valentine's Day slashers, you know.
More than there are Thanksgiving slashers.
There's not a lot of those.
No,
not a lot of things. We need to get some slashers moving out, man. Y'all start making those.
Yeah,
I should make a Thanksgiving slasher.
Maybe. There's a lot of food.
I don't. What would I call it? Like Turkey Day or something?
No. I don't know. That's not slashery enough of a title for me.
Hey, you're right.
We're not coming up with titles right now.
No.
Get
what
to
are we
the
doing?
movie.
We're not talking. We're not even in the month of Thanksgiving. What are we doing? Anyway, let's get to the movie. I'm sorry.
So a woman named Michelle is driving at night during a storm. She has to stop for gas in the middle of nowhere. It's what it looks like, but later on we figure out that it's not.
I'm
this
confused.
movie is weird.
So the again, this was all filmed in Toronto, but like the geography isn't really, it's very vague here. I'm assuming like this college is up in the mountains somewhere or some shit. but the surrounding, I don't know if there's a town or something, but you have 2 gas stations because she passes one while she's singing Bonnie Tyler, by the way. She passes one good gas station that's all lit up and normal and shit, and there's people at it. And then she gets to the gas station you're about to talk about, which is the Texas Chainsaw Funhouse gas station that no one's at. And I'm like, what the fuck?
And why?
I don't know. Well, like I said, she was singing Bonnie Tyler, you know.
Right.
Turn around.
Now and then. Anyway.
You know, we talked about the soundtracks to these movies, and I have been like listening to these things. And aside from, honestly, this one sticks out from the rest of them because it's a bunch of, I'll talk about it towards the end of the show, but like there's a lot of mixing of new and old with this, this movie.
Yeah.
And so the music's like that on the soundtrack too. And so it's all over the place. You have the Bay City Rollers with a roller coaster, you know, roller coaster. Or is that the Ohio Players? It's a Bay City Rollers.
Does it really matter?
Kind of
we
does.
know the song.
Kind of does. But anyway. So this soundtrack's all over the fucking place because you have Bonnie Tyler opening a slasher movie here, which is very interesting.
Right. Well, anyway, so she pulls up to this gas station, and this is a place where you can't pump your own gas because if you don't know, some states don't let you pump your own gas. Mainly Oregon and what was the other one?
Jersey, right?
Jersey, that's right. I was like, what is it? In a few cities throughout the United States.
Which we have a few Jersey listeners. So, you know, hello, Jersey.
How does it feel to not pump your own gas?
Yeah. Do they get mad if you do? I think there's like a union thing. I think there's a union thing that doesn't allow you to pump your gas, but I'm not 100% sure because here in Oklahoma, you get told to fucking pump it yourself or beat your ass down the road or something. You know, the big fuck you. Even though everybody who visits the state is like, they're so nice in Oklahoma. It's like, are we?
You have not been here long enough.
Live here for a little while.
Anyway, so the attendant, he looks a little homeless, and he has this stutter, so he seems a little creepy, right? Like, they make him seem really creepy.
Which we'll get to who's playing him because he is a very good. I think to me he's a very good actor, but. When you have a stutter like this that's very debilitating and he's trying to warn somebody, but you'll talk about that.
Right.
But he's trying to warn somebody, stop touching them so much.
Yeah, he's very touchy.
Maybe don't act creepy.
Right.
Let's approach this in a non-creepy way before you start stuttering at someone. Our gas station attendant here is the first in a few horror cameos that we have. This is Brad Duraff. I think he's uncredited in this, who you all probably know as the voice of Chucky from the Child's Play series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In fact, I think he had just finished his voiceovers for Bride of Chucky when he did this film. He shares this scene with Natasha Wagner, who is the first of 2 actors in this movie who have been in a David Lynch film. So,
okay.
So we have connections here. Well, sort of. I think I'm just drawing connections. But Wagner was in Lost Highway from 1997, and her character's last name is Mancini. And I'm not sure if that's a nod to Don Mancini, who's Chucky's creator. It might be.
Oh.
What's really funny is Brad Dourif has a speech impediment. He has his stutter here, and he had the same stutter in Clockwork Orange. No, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I'm sorry, I'm getting my insane movies mixed up. But he had that speech impediment here, so that's kind of neat. But anyway.
But you said he does in real life?
No, he doesn't. No.
I thought
he played a character that had the same kind of speech impediment. He has it in this movie.
I see what you mean. Okay, I see what you mean.
Same. And Pendleton, the name of the college we'll get to, was the name of the hospital in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So that might be a thing. I don't know. I'm drawing connections for some weird reason, but this whole movie is kind of, I feel like it kind of wants to have fun with horror movies and urban legends at the same time. And it's a little weird.
Yeah.
Like, do you get that? Like, it's kind of,
it doesn't know what it wants to be.
Yeah. I don't want to say confused, but it gets a little, it's like, okay, man, you should have probably chose one or the other. But this opening scene is the first thing they shot. It's one of the first scenes that they shot because Blanks wanted to give the producers something to look at, like to kind of prove his ability since he was just starting out. Because I mean, that's important to note that they were just kind of taking a chance on Blanks here as well, as well as Horta with his screenplay and stuff. So a lot of like first time things here, which is kind of interesting.
Like a virgin.
Yes, it's very much a virgin horror movie.
Sorry. Well, he ends up telling her that she needs to go inside and talk to the credit card company because her card is messed up. So she's freaked out. And so she takes her mace with her. See, yeah. I can't talk either.
Yay, we're on the same level.
I always can't talk, though. So when she goes inside, she picks up the phone. It's not working. And the man is trying to help her. And she freaks out, maces him, and goes to get in the car, but she's fighting him the whole time.
Which, by the way, he doesn't really so much as go to help her. He grabs her by the shoulders and starts stuttering at her, which is no,
That's pretty scary.
Yeah, no, don't do this.
Take a deep breath and say what you need to say.
Stay far away and be like, hey.
Right. Well, she ends up hitting him as she drives off. Uh-huh. And then he gets up and yells that someone is in the back seat. Then she's crying as she's driving. And then we see someone behind her that has an axe and she gets beheaded.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Beheaded? Decapitated? Is it the same thing?
Beheaded. I think it's the same thing.
Okay.
I think it's the same thing. I think beheaded is what you refer to to someone's body when they get decapitated, maybe. Are we just talking about the same words?
Oh,
I think we're talking the same words.
No, you're right. The body is beheaded. Yeah. The head is decapitated from the body.
Is it? Is that how? Oh, interesting. Hey, I made a smart thing. But I bet you didn't expect someone to get murdered to Bonnie Tyler.
No.
Total eclipse of the heart. Bam, beheading. I'll talk about the lack of gore in this, which I've already kind of mentioned, but originally her head was supposed to be seen rolling down the road, which again, in your stupid movie, maybe include that because that would have been fun. Look.
Were they going for a lesser rating?
No, not so much because this got an R rating. I mean,
what?
Yeah, this still got an R. But like the thing is, it would have just been so much fun,
right?
Like so much more fun because this movie's I like it. Like it's not a all the time watch for me, but like I feel like it would have been a lot more fun with just a little bit more gore.
Yeah,
I not agree. Saying you have to have gore in your horror movies, but I feel like they were kind of going for again. They're kind of being a little bit too much scream.
Yeah.
Maybe kind of do something different. But anyway, this raises a question is wouldn't this car just fucking go off the road? Like when your car wouldn't fully stop after you're decapitated, right?
Yeah, you're right.
I feel like it would keep driving. I don't know how the body works. Maybe the body immediately goes for the foot pedal and the brake and the brakes, it's protecting the rest of you.
I'm thinking not.
But anyway, yeah, this would have been the shortest horror movie ever. Like this episode would have been really weird. It's just that was it. That was the movie. Yeah. The killer gets killed at the end. It's kind of crazy.
Gets killed at the end.
They made a mistake.
5 seconds.
They made a mistake. They forgot the car is going to roll. But anyway. What I find funny is I listened to the commentary on the DVD and they talked about how they actually had to find the biggest car that was realistic for her to drive, but also big enough for an axe to kind of swing.
Yeah.
But either way, you couldn't swing an axe in this thing.
No, especially not one of those double-headed.
Because it's a big fucking axe. It's like a lumberjack axe. And like just the backswing on that thing would have busted out the other window and then ruined your element of surprise. I would have just hit the brake and jumped out. Well, shit, I didn't think that out. But I will say, seeing this in the theater and when like Brad Dourif yells, "There's someone in the back seat," that gets you, man. That was cool, man.
Oh, I bet.
That was a lot of fun. So if you hadn't noticed, this movie is loaded with little horror Easter eggs too, not just the cameos that we get, which, you get Brad Dourif and stuff, but the urban legends as well. And this one is obviously being a take on the man in the back seat urban legend, which I don't think we've ever talked really too many urban legends legends on this show. Like, do you like urban legends? I've
they're
always
fine.
loved them. They're fun. Like the man in the backseat, you know, you always hear that thing. I think originally this urban legend was more like someone's following them. It's always a woman for some reason, but this woman's driving and someone's following her and flashing her lights and stuff like that. And then like, so she drives to a police station or something. And by the way, you guys, urban legends get the telephone treatment, so I'm probably telling this in a different way than you've heard it. But she drives to a police station and the guy gets out and chases her inside, and then you know, they start arresting him, and then he says, you know, there's someone in the back seat and shit like that, and it dawns on her, so they go out and they arrest a guy. Or in some stories, she actually does get beheaded. You know,
shit.
Like the dude chases her and then she loses him, and then she drives off, and then he yells it, and then she gets beheaded. But you know, it's fun. They're fun little stories.
Well, I've never heard that one.
You
but
never
okay.
have? Oh, what kind of urban legends have you heard? Now, there's a difference between urban legend and rural legend, which I can't say the word rural, so bear with me, you guys.
What's a rural legend?
It's like more relevant. It's not very widespread as much as the ones you see in this movie are definitely urban legends. They're the ones that are more widespread, like gang initiations and stuff like that, and you know, spider eggs in the bubble yum. Michael Rosenbaum mentions that later.
Okay.
There's a lot of mentioning of urban legends too.
Yes.
But like a rural legend is something that's like more relegated to your town.
Okay.
And nobody outside your town really knows this legend.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Can't really think of one. Well, no, maybe we had one. No, that guy was just a child molester. That's not really a legend if it's true.
Nope.
Don't go by that house. He touches children, and then, you know, later you find out he really did touch children. But anyway,
They weren't lying.
that wasn't a legend. That was true. It was just your parents trying to keep you away from a kitty toucher.
Right.
But no, so there are differences, but like the ones we deal with here are definitely more widespread, more widely told. you know?
right.
Like you always hear it like it's from a friend of mine that happened. They saw it.
A girl in my hometown.
A girl in my hometown, you know, my cousin said a friend of his cousin. What?
My cousin's cousin said.
Yeah.
So at Pendleton University radio station, there is a woman named Sasha that takes calls about sex. She has a late night sex show.
I don't think this would be allowed in a college radio station. Now, I've never worked college radio station, but I know some people who have, and there's a very set list of things you can and can't talk about and stuff you can and can't play. So I don't think you're allowed to talk, because she's talking blowjobs here.
And pregnancy.
And pregnancy, which by the way are two urban legends. You get the one about the somebody replacing someone's birth control with Tic Tacs or Sweethearts or any kind of candy or something like that. And then you also get the stomach one, which is more of a reference to, now there have been over the years, there have been a bunch of celebrities attributed to this urban legend, but it's mostly like they take a music celebrity and it's usually they had the pump cum out of their stomach. That's the urban legend. You know, it was Rod Stewart back in our parents' days. You know, they had to pump a bunch of semen out of Rod Stewart's stomach.
I never heard of that before.
And then it was, in our day, it was Britney Spears. I do remember that being passed around a lot. They had to pump, which, that poor lady. We don't need to add that to her repertoire. But I can say repertoire, but I can't say rural.
That's a different
fuck is that shit?
Word.
Anyway. I just don't think this would be allowed at a college radio station.
I don't know. It's very weird.
And does Tara Reid go to classes? Is this her main job? Like, what does she do? Like, because we don't see her. That's the thing about Tara Reid's character that's really funny is she's always in this radio station, or she's just like popping up in the library or something. Like,
I mean, she's not the main character, though, so we don't follow her to class.
All the rest of them take the same class.
She's a supporting actress.
Oh, true. Urban Legend 101 or something here in a minute.
Well, at the coffee shop, there are friends sitting around listening to the station, and their names are Parker, Paul, Natalie, and Brenda.
The fucking whitest names in the universe, man. This whole movie is white people doing stuff, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
So many white people. I think
so many white people.
out of all the movies this month, this one really does feel like an old 80s slasher movie because you don't care for any of those characters. They're just pretty white people that are about to get murdered.
Right, right. So Parker is telling them a story about a man that freaked out, grabbed a hunting knife, and goes into one of the dorms and slashes people's throats and then killed himself. He says this is why one of the frats at their college has a party every year to commemorate it. This is going to be the 25th anniversary, and this is, I can't remember what they call it. I have it further in my notes here, but
yeah, we'll talk about it.
But apparently it's a dorm. It's closed down in their college.
Yeah, and you having a party to celebrate a murder? Like a multiple murder? That's kind of odd. Yeah. But it's kind of part one of our attempt to hate Parker. Again, out of all, I think I hate these characters in different levels, and Parker being the biggest one because, I mean, he feeds a beer to a dog later, and this same dog also has its nose pierced, so fuck this dude. But anyway, that poor dog. but Parker is played by Michael Rosenbaum, who had just started his career here, and he appeared the year before in a small role in Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. Not gonna go into that movie. It's another movie I don't like. But me and most listeners will remember him from Smallville as a young Lex Luthor. And man, Smallville. That was during a time when we took whatever Superman we could get. and it wasn't much, man.
Oh, really?
You don't get 10 fucking seasons and you don't even see Tom Welling wearing the suit.
What?
No, man. The very last shot of that fucking series is just him pulling his shirt open and you see the S. No suit.
What?
It's like 10 fucking years. Not that I watched it for 10 years, but I saw one season. I was like, yep, I'm not digging this. There's no Superman in my Superman show.
I do like to have Superman in my Superman shows.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Even though I don't care about Superman, but whatever.
Yeah.
So the girls are walking and talking about the story, and one of them is kind of freaked out. Natalie, sorry. Mm-hmm. And Brenda says it's just a legend. So the girls are going up to the door of Stanley Hall. This is where this murder took place. Mm-hmm. They're saying Bloody Mary and joking, but then they hear something. And then their friend Damon comes up behind it and scares them.
Which, by the way, was Damon doing a ventriloquist act? Because how did
I guess?
Because it sounds like, like
it's
I said,
coming from inside.
Yeah, they're at Scooby-Doo University, so it's a boarded up wing of the college, I think, or something. It's a dorm room that's been boarded up
because of the murders that took place 25 years ago.
Wouldn't they have reused? Scooby-Doo Haunted University is where we're at. So it's boarded up, and you hear the voices coming from within, and then fucking Joshua Jackson pops up.
Why do you hate Joshua Jackson so much?
I couldn't explain it to you. I just don't like everything he's in, and he was in a lot of this, like during this point.
Did he play in Dawson's Creek?
Yes, he was Paisley in Dawson's Creek.
Paisley? Was his...
Or Paisley. I can't remember exactly his name. They all had stupid ass names in Dawson's Creek.
That's true.
Dawson.
True.
I mean, Dawson. And Paisley. So
the girls go home, and when Natalie gets inside her dorm, she gets scared by this weird janitor just standing there.
Again, it's Haunted University. We have a creepy fucking janitor. And by the way, in the cast list, this guy, which this is I can't remember his name, but he's a pretty big British like character actor. He does a lot of these roles, like just popping up being the weird guy. And
okay.
But he's credited as weird janitor.
Weird janitor. Okay, cool. Well, then she goes into her room. And her roommate is getting fucked. And the music is really, really loud. So Natalie just puts her headphones on and goes to sleep.
Okay, roommate. Put a sock on the door at least.
Before you go into who this roommate is, okay? Because I know you're going to.
Yes, I have to.
I know this roommate from a movie, and I can't even think of the name of it. But she switches places with her sister.
Oh, wow. I think you found a movie I do not know.
Well, no, because it's not a horror movie.
Oh, true. But I've seen her in non-horrors.
It's like a feel-good, like.
Don't tell mom the babysitter's dead. She was in that.
Oh, but she was in like this movie. I don't know. Anyway, they like switch places or whatever, and it's the most innocent, like sweet movie. And then I see her.
Never seen her in these
and I
roles.
haven't seen anything else of hers. And then I just the first time I see her again, she's just getting railed by this goth dude. Like, what the hell?
She's getting bent over this bed and railed, which, like I said, put a fucking sock on the door if you don't want people walking in on the hardcore fucking.
Right.
Because, I mean, and by the way, okay, she's supposed to be goth. This character's goth, and we know that because she's an asshole and she takes lithium, as we find out later. Right. You know, because goths are, very terrible lithium addicts. But she's listening to Stabbing Westward, which I just don't feel like it's very gothy. That's not very gothy music, I would think, you know? You got to throw on some Depeche Mode or something. Or something. I don't know. Just Stabbing Westward, really? Anyway.
So that's Danielle Harris that you were talking about before.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know. She's been in a lot of horror movies.
She has been quite a few.
And I've seen her in one of the very only non-horror movies that she's been.
That's hilarious, by the way.
I'm trying to find the name of it.
But, of course, here is our second actor from a better movie. But Alicia Witt plays Natalie here, who played Aaliyah, the creepiest fucking little girl you'll ever see in David Lynch's Dune. Which is kind of appropriate that we're doing this because the remake of Doom is coming. Well, not the remake, the new adaptation of Dune is coming out later this month. 22nd of this month, I believe. But she also went on to have a small role on Twin Peaks as well. She's Kirsten Hayward in season 2, episode 1. You remember it's Donna's sister, her little sister, who comes out dressed as in the fucking pageant dress for some reason.
In what movie?
In Twin Peaks.
Oh, in Twin Peaks. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, well, anyway, she's in that. And I think she might be in Return, which is the 3rd season of Twin Peaks, but I'm not sure yet because we're not there yet, which, by the way, go subscribe to our Patreon to hear our retrospective on Twin Peaks. But anyway. Also, she was recently in season 7 of Orange is the New Black. So you definitely probably know her. I think her name was Zelda in that.
Oh.
Yeah, I think
I knew I've seen her before.
I think she's going out with the main character who not Laura Prepon. I don't think Laura Prepon plays. What is that? Anyway, and you guys may be wondering because this actress has been in quite a few other things. So you may be wondering why I mention stuff like this. It's because I usually do that. So Brittany knows who I'm talking about.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah, so I'll mention stuff that she knows. But anyway, apparently Jennifer Love Hewitt was asked to play Natalie, but she turned it down.
Thank God.
Thankfully, because one Jennifer Love Hewitt in a month is enough.
It's true. It's true.
I really realized that I do not care for Jennifer Love Hewitt. But anyway, but also getting pounded with the door unlocked.
You got to, right?
Lock the door.
No.
Sock on the door. Sign even.
No.
Hey, between the hours of 7 and 8, I'm going to be fucked hard against the bed to Stabbing Westward.
But how do you know you're going to?
I don't know. I think she knows because we see later that she's got a whole setup with Goth for Goth. And
yeah, but she didn't know until 5 minutes before that. How was she supposed to tell? What?
You can throw a sock on the door. Come on. You know you're getting fucked. Come on. Anyway. But anyway, Danielle Harris is who we have here, and she's Halloween 4 and 5 and the Rob Zombie remakes, which Brad Dourif plays her father in those Rob Zombie remakes. But as well, she's one of my favorite horror icons, so you guys will hear me talk about her throughout the history of the show. But she took this role when she found out she could smoke during her scenes.
What?
Yes, because she was a smoker at the time, so she was super excited. Which why wouldn't you be if you're a smoker and you're like, my character can just smoke cigarettes? That sounds fucking badass.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't know the hell she would have to go through because they had to take multiple takes of
Oh
her.
no.
Because so they took multiple takes and she's smoking cigarette after cigarette, and this movie literally made Danielle Harris quit cigarettes.
Yeah.
She was just done after this.
I could understand that. Only you could do that.
Oh yeah,
Because
They're
you
like,
couldn't pound a pack of cigarettes in like an hour.
Yeah, I have to pace myself with the cigarettes, which I'm hearing you guys out there. You're probably like, oh, you better quit those cancer nails.
Oh my God, I fucking
the
hate
coffin nails. It's like, yes, I know these are going to kill me, but they're keeping me from getting drunk. So,
And they're also keeping other people alive.
yes, they're keeping me from murdering the world. So we should all be glad that I'm smoking this coffin nail right now. Anyway. But anyway, yes. So the one great thing that came out of this is Danielle Harris quit smoking.
Naked in any movies? Do we see her naked?
Danielle Harris?
Yes.
Not so much. You do see her naked in Rob Zombie's Halloween movies. You get to see her there. And I believe a few other movies, but she never played a character when nudity is really required.
Mm-hmm.
So for her characters to be nude, it'd be kind of out of the blue.
Right.
But
right.
she poses, she herself takes boudoir photos. So, and she has tattoos now.
I know. I saw pictures
Yeah,
of it.
it's kind of weird to sit here and say how much how much of the hots I have for Danielle Harris, and then I watch Halloween 4 and I'm like, that's a child. But I think it was okay because I was around her same age when I was watching those kind of movies.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like I grew up with her. a little different. But it's really weird.
Just aside from, I can't talk. Aside from when she was under 18, she was hot.
Yes, there you go.
Anyway, so the next day in class, Natalie, Brenda, and Paul are in this class together. And Damon. The professor is teaching a story about a babysitter getting a phone call that's coming from upstairs. Mm-hmm. He says this is an urban legend and contemporary folklore passed on as a true story. Urban legends are contemporary folklore passed on as a true story. And one of the girls makes a joke, so the professor wants her to volunteer for the experiment. He makes her eat Pop Rocks and then hands her a soda to take a drink.
Not just any soda, though. A Pepsi. An ice cold, glistening Pepsi, which, by the way, they make sure they get the logo in and everything. So, Pepsi had some kind of hand in the producing of this fucking movie.
Probably.
This blue can was actually a new thing from Pepsi. This is the first time in a movie or something that you saw that blue Pepsi can, because they first introduced those cans back in '98.
What was the original color? White?
It was like white with red and blue.
Oh,
you remember
okay.
the classic Pepsi circle logo?
I do now.
Yeah. That was so around '98. This thing. So this was definitely marketing on point here with this. But my thing is with the Pepsi, and I'll get to who's playing the professor here in a minute because I'm sure you guys are screaming. But the Pepsi, I feel like they should have taken it further with the marketing. Like everyone should be drinking Pepsi at all times.
Oh, in the movie?
Yeah, just everybody's drinking Pepsi. The killer stops mid-kill and takes a big swig of refreshing Pepsi.
This is a movie, not a commercial.
But I think you could have got your commercials worth.
That would have made it more comical.
So now if I make a movie and you guys notice that there's like a brand name throughout the entire movie, you'll know who's paid for it.
If you could get a name brand to pay for it.
I wish. Who would finance my movie? Not Pepsi. I'll tell you that.
Not Pepsi. Anyway, so she refuses because she said that she's heard that it'll make her insides explode. Well, so Damon volunteers to do it. He does it, and then he fakes like he's dying, and people are like freaking out.
Damon here, Joshua Jackson, is supposed to. I think he's supposed to be our early comic relief.
It's just not funny.
Yeah, like you said, I don't find this character funny at all. I don't find anybody funny in this movie. I think that's another problem. Like, I'm not saying this movie takes itself too seriously, but it seems like the characters do. And you kind of need a little bit more of levity to it. I don't know. Like I said, the gore would have helped.
Right. You're right. His name was Pacey in Dawson's Creek.
I told you.
I just don't remember that.
I told you. I've never seen an episode of Dawson's Creek. I think I saw one, and that's about it. But I know all this shit from Dawson's Creek for some reason.
Because you do research or whatever.
Yeah. Because I'm a Kevin Williamson fan, so I feel like I have to know Dawson's Creek. But Rebecca Gayheart, who plays Brenda here, who refuses to take the Pop Rocks and soda, which they also mentioned Mikey from those cereal commercials.
Yes.
That really was a real life urban legend where like the urban legend was that dude died from fucking Pop Rocks and soda.
Oh no.
But she got sick from all the Pop Rocks she had to consume. Like they made her sick.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. But I remember kids I went to school with really thinking this was true, you know, to the point where I was in the cafeteria eating Pop Rocks and drinking Sprite. And people were staring at me, and I had no idea what the fuck was up. But then I found out later they were all waiting for me to die. So,
I mean, for more reasons than just Pop Rocks.
I was a fat kid, so Pop Rocks and soda was like, yeah, that's fat kid heaven. So I'm sitting there chugging Pop Rocks and soda, looking at everybody like, what? What? I know I'm fat. What? What do you want?
I can't make the noise.
Let me eat my Pop Rock. Because you always open your mouth when you're eating Pop Rocks.
Yes, you have to. You have to hear it.
It's the most annoying candy ever.
Have you heard of people like putting Pop Rocks in their mouths and then doing oral?
That's how you get a yeast infection.
Yes.
Or some kind of infection. I just don't. I feel like that's an urban legend in itself. I don't believe that someone out there has given a blowjob with Pop Rocks.
Well, the thing is,
or cunnilingus with Pop Drops.
But
Pop Drops. Anyway.
Would it not hurt to have rocks in your vagina? Or on your dick?
They're not literal rocks, but...
They feel kind of like rocks, though.
Yeah, it would feel like you just shoved some sandpaper in your mouth and now you're going down.
What I mean.
Yeah, you're right. I
know.
So again, I think that's an urban legend too. I don't believe anybody did that. Now, I did hear people used to make out with Pop Rocks, and that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Because that's mouths, that's not genitals. Yeah, don't pour Pop Rocks on your pussies, everybody. I don't think you're gonna have a good time. I just don't think it's gonna be a good time.
Damn it.
Damn it. That was my one thing. Like, what? Anyway, Damon, of course, is played by Joshua Jackson, who I'm glad to spoil gets killed here pretty quick. My thing is, what's with this hair? Man, Joshua Jackson has like brown or dark brown hair. And in this movie, he is bleached to the motherfucking hilts with this fucking hair. And it is ridiculous looking on him. Did people used to do this back in the day? I don't remember bleaching. No, I do actually. I never did it, but I did remember going to school with people who would just bleach their hair out of nowhere. You know. Was that the style? Maybe that was the style.
It was. I don't know.
Anyway, drawing up some of the awful shit the 90s had to offer. Nobody talks about the bad shit. But anyway, he was in Cruel Intentions with the same hair. And so he probably, and this was around the same time, I think Cruel Intentions was being shot around the same time as this. So like he probably kept it that way. Kept it bleached during this movie just in case of reshoots. But
right.
But then I think about Cruel Intentions and I'm like, why does his hair have to be bleached in that? Oh, it was the 90s. In Cruel Intentions, Joshua Jackson's character is gay.
Okay.
So that was probably like the only thing they could come up with to make us know he's gay. Do you remember that in the 90s when they'd have a gay character and they'd always have bleached hair for some fucking reason?
No, I don't remember this.
They would always have bleached hair or they'd be wearing crop tops.
Always the crop tops.
Yeah, it's like, hey, gay guys dress normal. Gay guys are people too, just letting you know. But that's probably the reason. But anyway,
They're walking around with pop rocks in their mouth. And crop top.
but we got to talk about Freddy Krueger, obviously. Like fucking Freddy Krueger's in this goddamn movie.
What?
Robert Englund, man.
I know
Robert Englund.
I know who that is, but what? Where was he?
The professor. He's the professor here in this class.
Okay.
Brittany,
Are
that's
you
Freddy
sure
Krueger.
it was?
Yes, this is Robert Englund. He's teaching Urban Legends 101. And where could you possibly go to school and take a course on urban legends? I don't think there's a course. That's the thing. I don't feel like there's a whole course. I did a paper on urban legend in my American folklore class once, but not like Urban Legend 101. Like Urban Legends was like a day long lecture. Like it required
That was it.
Yeah, you just had a day of lecture. That was it. And it wasn't some big fucking deal. But like I said, they go to haunted Scooby-Doo University in this movie. So urban legends, everybody's talking about it.
Right. It's a thing.
It is a thing. But yes, this is Robert Englund teaching the class here.
I don't believe you. What?
You, which is really funny. Actually, it makes sense because Brittany, and this is going to sound crazy to some of you horror fans who listen, to some of the hardcore horror fans and even the casual horror fans, but like Brittany has seen nothing that Robert Englund has been in besides his role as Freddy Krueger in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1 and 2. You have seen nothing else with Robert Englund.
He was only in the first two?
No, he's in all of them, but you've only seen the first two.
Oh, okay, I see. I was like, wait, what?
Brittany.
I got confused.
Brittany is way confused right now.
He did more things?
But yes, this is Freddy Krueger.
No, this is Dr. Wexler.
Anyway, let's go on with the movie.
So the girls are walking around campus and they see a paper about Michelle's death. And the headline reads, "Lunatic on Campus." The dean wants all the papers removed because he doesn't want the campus to be seen as dangerous. And Natalie is mad that Paul is just seeing this as an article and not someone's life because Paul is a journalist major.
Journalist major. Keep that in mind. Every time he pops up, he's like, I smell a story. Again, I don't like any of these characters, especially
Did
Paul.
He say it like
no,
that?
But you can tell because he might as well be just standing off with a notepad chewing a pencil. That's because he gets that look. Which Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, you guys. But the dean here is played by John Neville.
Yeah.
Who it's okay if none of you know who I'm talking about. I like John Neville. And if you guys have ever seen The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, that's a pretty good movie he's in. Anyway, but I like how he continuously, until his death, he continuously sweeps shit under the rug for this entire movie for some reason.
Because he doesn't want the campus to be like scary.
But it's the weekend. Like he says that a couple of times. It's the weekend. So why does he care?
There's allowed to be murder on the weekend?
I think.
Is that what you're saying?
He should do something about the murder. That's what I'm saying. But it's haunted university, so I guess he doesn't really have to. It's like, oh no, it's the weekend. It's the weekend. Which, by the way, the fact that he's British too, like they do this in all these like movies with college campuses. It's always like a British guy as the dean.
Yes. Okay. Anyway, so Natalie goes to her dorm and finds her roommate's lithium. This is so weird. She just picks up this bottle of lithium and then puts it back down, and that's all you see of this.
It kind of comes back later.
No,
with the
I
dean.
understand it comes back, but like...
But it like I said, she's a goth in a movie, so we got to make sure we all know that goths are fucked up.
Yeah.
So the lithium.
Anyway, so Natalie gets mad though because she wants to use the phone, but her roommate is on the computer. Oh, the good old 90s.
Oh yeah, you could not pick up that phone when someone was on the fucking computer.
Nope. I mean, you could.
I was in a chat room.
Kick them out.
I was in a chat room. What happened? You picked up the phone, Mom.
Mom!
Which Danielle Harris, like I said, she's goth, so of course the character has to be a fucking menace.
Yes. She's like, this is my room too. Or she's like, whatever she said, that's my phone line too, or something like that.
Jesus Christ.
She just wanted to make a phone call. Damn.
Can you stop with goth for goth?
Right.
Which, by the way, why is that not a thing? You think that would be a thing?
Oh, it might be.
Might be. Like farmersonly.com? Is there like a specific goth?
Gothonly.com?
Yeah, goth only.
We're going to have to look into that.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway. So Natalie then grabs an old yearbook that has Michelle in it. Well, Damon comes over to talk and hang out, but Natalie is sad. So he says they can go somewhere and just talk.
Yeah. Damon's about to get a lot worse, but like I said, they did this in a lot of horror movies around the 90s and stuff like that, where goths were just fucking terrors to society,
right?
When in reality, they were just really boring people who just hung out in the dark and listened to Depeche Mode. But anyway, now in a college dorm, back on the goth thing, do they let you paint your walls black?
I have no idea.
I feel like they wouldn't let you do that because you know how many layers of that off-white eggshell shit that you'd have to use to cover up with this shit?
But also, did she just do it because she wanted to? Because she's angsty in this movie?
I guess.
Because she's a goth?
They are telegraphing that this character is goth when we will find out it's kind of a throwaway character anyway. Did it have to be this? But, Whatever.
So Natalie and Damon get in his car, and it's a piece of shit, so it's hard to start. By the way, Dawson's Creek starts to play.
I don't want to wait. Yeah, there's everybody's elbowing each other in the theater right now.
Dawson's Creek. Anyway, so they drive to a secluded area and talk about how Natalie and Michelle were friends. Damon says that Natalie needs some loving and she needs to be fixed, but in only a way that a man can fix her.
Oh, God. It'd be funny if it wasn't so true that this shit happens.
Oh, yeah. So true. Oh, my gosh. So she turns him down and he keeps on. So she ends up punching him and he still keeps trying. And he gets out to go pee and he ends up getting strangled. And I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, thank fucking God.
Thank you.
So luckily Joshua Jackson gets strangled to death. Well, not to death. He gets a little worse. But okay, I'm hating on him a lot. I just don't like his acting. But in real life, he does seem like a good guy. Because he did use the money he made off of this movie to buy his mom a house. So,
Good.
So in real life, he's probably fine.
He couldn't do that from Dawson?
Huh?
He couldn't do that from Dawson's Creek?
Well, I don't know. Maybe that was so he could live. I think that was just his job.
He's not allowed to do that.
What?
I'm just kidding.
I don't want Joshua Jackson, the person, to die. I just don't like his acting. I don't want to murder Joshua Jackson. He's probably a perfectly fine person.
He bought his mama a house, okay?
Yeah, he seems like a nice guy. He's Canadian. So, I mean, he's got to be nice.
Not always.
I don't know. I've never met a mean Canadian.
Me either.
Yeah, see, I don't know. So anyway, but okay, so here's the biggest problem I have with this movie, and I've been mentioning it, so you already know by now, but you gotta bump up the violence here, man. Especially with this scene, there's so many chances of violence. They glossed over it a lot because I guess Blanks wanted it to be more, I don't know, ambiguous of the violence and stuff like that. I think
ambiguous that people are dying.
I guess the thing is, you're doing a shitty slasher movie.
Right.
This is the shittiest of the movies this month. And so like you gotta bump it up, man. You gotta bump up that violence a little bit. Give a little oomph to it.
So Natalie gets out to find him and bumps into someone with a big coat on. We've seen this coat before because we saw it in Michelle's car.
This fucking coat. We'll get to it. I'll talk about it later.
This is the Slicker 2.0.
The parka.
The parka.
Yeah, but the slicker made sense. It was a fishing village last week, and I know what you did last summer. So the slicker made more sense than a parka.
The parka makes sense if you're cold.
It's not cold, though, if you've noticed.
Whatever.
Anyway.
So Natalie gets freaked out. She goes to the driver's side of the car, but of course, like I said before, the car is hard to start. So the person ties a rope to why does this car have a ball joint?
What the hell is Joshua Jackson towing with this fucking
I had to
thing?
go back and I was like, did I miss?
Yes, no,
I
you
was like,
didn't
did
miss
I
it.
miss this? Is this a truck and I didn't see that?
No, I'm so glad you brought that up because that's another thing. I'm like, wow, a convenient ball joint.
Right?
You can, what are you towing with this? Although you do hear later he's going skiing, so I don't know. Maybe he's towing his skis or. Well, no. Why would you tow skis? What am I talking about?
I was like, what? I'm so confused.
Someone flying down the highway with skis skidding behind them.
Catch fire.
Yeah, I don't.
Anyway, so the rope is attached to Damon and he's hanging above the car from a tree. And when she takes off, he gets hung. Then she backs up and he falls from the tree and into the car windshield.
Which this is a take on there was an urban legend which and they kind of mention it later, but the urban legend is, because before she takes off, she's hearing the screeches of his shoes and stuff.
Right.
Well, there's an urban legend where like something about like it kind of goes along the same way, but it's like someone's ring is scratching the top of the hood and stuff like that. I will tell you, okay, you guys, I'll tell you a movie that does these urban legends better than the actual movie Urban Legend, and that's Campfire Tales. It had Ron Livingston and stuff in it. Look that up. They do urban legends a lot better.
Okay.
Like I don't know. I feel like it's a lot better. It even has the part where the dog's licking the girl's hand. You know, that urban legend. Anyway, I'm not going to go.
I don't think I know any urban legends because
I'm not Robert Englund, so I'm not going to teach a whole lecture here.
Thank God.
But the move I would make if I was making this is you'd see him go up and then break his fucking neck on that fucking the branch.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That would have been good. And then he comes down into a goo pile. How much fun would that be? You see what I'm talking about? Like it's just blood and eyeball and ass just shot everywhere as soon as he hits the hood. You know, that's what you need.
By the way, how did this killer have time to hang him from this rope?
Yeah, because okay, I'll go ahead and spoil.
I just thought about
spoil it now, but the killer's Rebecca Gayheart, as we'll find out at the end of the film. But like, how did 90 pounds when she's soaking wet Rebecca Gayheart do all this?
Right.
Plus, this killer looks like a fucking linebacker, so you can't tell me that's her.
And you can't tell me that this rope wasn't always already fucking hanging there.
And would she use a cherry picker to get it up into those trees?
That's what I'm saying. Is that rope had to have already been there because she probably had to throw it 200 times to get it over the fucking thing.
Your guess is as good as mine. I think we're trying to make sense of urban legend. I think that's the wrong way to go about it. We didn't apply this logic to I Know What You Did Last Summer, so let's not do the same here.
Are you done?
Yeah.
So Reese, the security officer for the school, is messing around in her office, and Natalie goes in to get her to help. But when they go back, the car and everything is gone. And Natalie says that it's probably the same person that killed Michelle, but Reese says that they arrested the gas station attendant this afternoon. Which, by the way, Reese kind of doesn't believe her as soon as she sees a crushed beer can on the ground, which, again, this is another trope they do in these movies where, like, someone's like, someone murdered my friend, and then they see a beer can. It's like, oh, getting drunk around here, huh? Right. Yeah, you're just lying. Right. You're drunk. Go home.
Yeah, which Reese is played by Loretta Devine, who you actually know from
Grey's Anatomy.
Grey's Anatomy. She plays one of the doctor's wives on there.
Yeah.
She's actually a very good actress. Mm-hmm. In fact, I would say her character in this movie is, I said I don't like any of the characters, but I think I like Reese.
Oh, yeah.
I think she's the one character I like.
Yeah, I agree.
and I know she comes back in the sequel, but look, that's not this movie. But they kind of leave her for dead at the end of this fucking movie, and it kind of upsets me. But anyway. So
Natalie is talking to Parker and Sasha in the coffee shop, and they tell her that Damon was just playing a prank on her, and that he's actually gone skiing for the weekend.
Because Damon's such a prankster. Like I said, I guess he's supposed to be the comic relief there at the beginning, but then he gets killed off, so we have no comic relief. Unless you find Michael Rosenbaum funny, and I'm not.
Well, then Parker says it's just an urban legend that Damon was using to prank her with the squeaking on the top of the roof. Natalie says that there is also an urban legend about the same way that Michelle had died. She says that she thinks someone is recreating these urban legends, and everyone still thinks that Damon's just pranking her. They don't believe anything she's saying. Well, Natalie goes to the library and she finds the Dictionary of Urban Legends. Is this a thing?
I don't know. I don't know if it's a thing. I want to buy it because especially this book, because it's a very professionally bound, like nice looking book. It's not like a spooky urban legend book or anything. It's
like a dictionary.
Yeah, it's like official.
Well, Sasha is there and she tells her that the high beam game isn't a myth and that it's actually a really true thing. And the high beam thing, if you don't know, is when someone's driving down the road and they don't have their lights on and you high beam them to turn their lights on and they turn around and they kill you. This is a gang initiation.
Yeah,
this
is an urban legend, by the way. There's no gangs that do this for initiation.
And out of everybody, or out of all of the urban legends, this is the only one I know about.
Really?
Yes.
Well, because we get told about it on the news all the time. It's like when they talk about drugs in the candy or the razor blades in the candy at Halloween. Yeah. It's the same kind of thing. They always talk about this shit. If you see somebody with their lights off, don't flash them. It's like, why?
Is it really that big of a deal? Like,
I don't know. I thought that was a kind thing to do to somebody, because then it'd be like, oh, fuck, my lights are off. Like,
the best is whenever I've seen people flash their lights at me, not because my lights aren't on, it's because there's a cop waiting down the way.
Oh, yeah. That's
my friend.
That is your friend.
I'm like
fucking cop, fucking cop, fucking cop.
Right, slow the fuck down.
Yes, those people, heroes don't always wear capes. Those people.
Sometimes they just flash their lights at you.
They do cover quite a bit of urban legends in this movie. And I have heard like a few people talk about like how this movie doesn't pay attention to urban legends as much as it should. I don't really believe that. Like, I feel like they do a good job here with the urban legend thing. Like,
oh, yeah.
Everything is an urban legend in this movie. So I don't know what more you want from urban legend the movie. But okay, I did mention earlier there is a movie that does it better. I don't know. I think applied to a slasher, urban legends aren't as interesting. Mm-hmm. Because it really the urban legend premise is kind of used as a backdrop to a slasher movie,
right?
So it's a little bit more fun in Campfire Tales, as I mentioned earlier, but I think this one does just fine. But despite its flaws, I do kind of like this movie. So I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm making fun of it like a little too much, but it's easy to make fun of this movie,
right?
But Sasha is played by, of course, Tara Reid, who we mentioned earlier, and you all know her from American Pie and Sharknado to a lesser extent. But fucking hate Sharknado. But I do remember growing up and hearing these urban legends repeated by random family members and stuff. And we talked about the news repeating them. The news does it all every year, man. Not so much the gang initiation thing anymore. They've kind of dropped that. I haven't heard that mentioned in quite a long time. But the candy thing. The candy thing, which that actually got started. That urban legend didn't really appear until after there was a guy in the 60s or 70s or 50s. I can't remember what decade it was, where he literally poisoned his son with candy pixie sticks.
Oh, wow.
He got nicknamed the Candy Man back in that day. But he killed his son and his son's friends, I think, with some poisoned pixie sticks. But after that, then the urban legend about razor blades and stuff in your candy took off.
Right.
To a point where every year people still check candy.
Right.
When it's like, why would someone put a razor blade in the candy? And everyone has that story where someone's friend or someone's mom or sister or something said that like somebody found a needle in their candy,
right?
And shit like that.
And you still hear it all the time.
Yeah.
Like on the news, there's a headline: "Kid finds needle in candy."
Yeah.
And
now the big one though is edibles. Like drugs in the candy and stuff like that. And no one's wasting their drugs on your kids.
No.
I wouldn't give out my edibles to these shithead little fuckers.
Right? Like, what the hell?
Why would I give it out to them? This shit's expensive.
What the hell? I could understand maybe getting them mixed up.
Maybe. I don't know. They always the cops are always fucking doing that on Facebook and shit now, where they show the picture and it's like you could easily confuse it. It's like, I don't know, man. That kind of vaguely resembles a Skittles package, but it says like Shriddles or something. Like if you know how to read, you can fucking probably figure it out. Maybe teach your kids to read. And hey, if it doesn't look like an official Skittles bag, maybe you shouldn't eat it. I don't know.
So Tosh, Natalie's roommate, is on a chat site, the Goths for Goths. We've talked about it.
Which is this a local thing? Because she's trying to find guys to fuck on campus. And it's like, it seems like it's a local thing because she types in anybody on campus looking for fun or something like that.
Maybe. I don't know.
Is this like essential? Do colleges
Are there a lot of goths in this?
That's what I mean. Because that would mean if you're having to use this thing, wouldn't you have to be hooking up on the regular?
Well, I mean, I
feel like, what are there, like maybe 4 goths in this whole school? We only see 1. So there has to be, I mean, just go to their rooms. And you're Danielle Harris in 1998. You got
just
this.
Do whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
So she's looking for a guy on campus to fuck, and someone IMs her and says that he's into lithium like her. Then they plan to meet up, and she wants to know what room he's in. She goes into the bathroom, gets ready, comes back out, and he says that he's in her room.
Now, I'm not sure about this urban legend. Is this more of a take? Well, obviously, it's kind of like 2 urban legends here. Is this like a take on the killers inside the house kind of thing? The calls coming from inside the house? I feel like maybe with this computer thing. I mean, later, it's a whole different urban legend when Natalie walks in, but.
Right. Then she gets grabbed and choked, and Natalie walks in while this is happening, but the lights are off, and she walks in and thinks that they're just fucking because the killer has their mouth over Tosh's face, or her mouth, her hand, the hand over Tosh's mouth. Oh my God. It did not work out. I'm sorry. And so Natalie just thinks that they're fucking.
Yeah, which I don't know. At one point in my life, I probably would have said you could tell the difference between fucking and sex noises, but I'm not sure anymore. And the things I've done and the things I've heard and witnessed, I don't know anymore. So maybe. Then again, I don't know. Because it does sound like she's calling for help at one point, but she has her headphones in.
Right. Yeah, because Natalie just puts her headphones on and goes to sleep. I don't know. So the next morning, Natalie wakes up and finds Tosh dead and blood all over. Then a message on the wall that says, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light?" So the dean and Reese are talking to Natalie and asking all kinds of questions. She's like, "I don't know. I was just asleep, blah, blah, blah." So then they tell her that Tosh killed herself. So you're telling me,
fucking dean, well, she was on lithium,
right,
and it's the weekend. Like, what?
So you're telling me that Tosh killed herself and then got up and wrote on the wall in her own blood and then laid back down and died again or something? Like,
yes. Here on Haunted University, we don't have any students killing other students. They kill themselves. I love how that's better.
Right.
When they killed themselves, they were gothic. They were goth. It just happens.
So
we had 4 other students kill themselves who were goth too. Goth for goth is getting very empty. It's the weekend.
The weekend.
It's the weekend. It's fucking Dean.
Well, Natalie doesn't agree. And then Paul comes to ask Natalie questions about Michelle. And Natalie kind of freaks out, and Paul offers to talk to her off the record.
Mm.
Off the record. Okay.
He acts like this is his fucking job. You
like
are
he's getting fucking paid for this.
Yeah, earlier he talks about how he wrote a story because Michael Rosenbaum's character kind of talks about some kind of like story he wrote about like food poisoning and shit. And they have a dick measuring contest where they fucking, I don't know if these two are mortal enemies or what. I don't know. But anyway, so like, you know, as Paul's walking off, as Jared Leto's walking off, he's like, yes, that story won me the student Pulitzer. I was like, the student Pulitzer? The student Pulitzer Prize. You're saying, what is that? Like construction paper with some crayon? Like,
Yes.
what the fuck? It's the weekend. But so Jared Leto plays Paul here, and no relation to Paul Allen from American Psycho, which came years later. Oh, he gets brutally murdered with an axe in that movie. I love it. But Jared Leto was already a pretty well-known actor. Well, kind of well, and not maybe well-known. Known. It's more the words.
He was known.
Yes, yeah. You know, he was in the TV series My So-Called Life, and a movie called Switchback, which is another serial killer movie. So he was kind of a get for this film, I think. And I think I'm not sure if he had formed 30 Seconds to Mars yet.
What?
I think that came in 2000.
Why do I not know anything about Jared Leto?
Oh, I am shocked that you don't know Jared Leto because Jared Leto was the early 2000s.
Apparently, I just was sleeping on him. I don't know.
Before he was the Joker and sending condoms to his co-stars, which, god damn, if you as an actor fucking do that shit, that's
weird.
Because they're like, oh, he went so method. He sent used looking condoms to his co-stars.
What?
I was like, poor fucking Will Smith woke up in the morning to a package like that. It was like, why the hell am I in this movie with these white people?
Right.
Like, don't do that. But anyway, but before he was doing that, yeah, he was in 30 Seconds to Mars. You know?
No, I don't know.
Great. Do you know that band?
Yes.
Marry me. Anyway.
Was that them?
I don't know. I vaguely recall that song. I didn't listen to any of that music until years later when I was out of high school and stuff like that. But I do have issues with this character, if you haven't noticed, because every time he pops up, it's like this Scooby-Doo bullshit where he's like, I smell a story. Like he acts like it's his job, you know, when no, man, you're just majoring in journalism. And the only people who read your college paper are the people who go to college. Probably not even the professors. I don't believe the professors really read this shit. They're probably like, yeah.
The PAs, the professors'
good. I'm
assistants.
glad the fucking dean. You think the dean reads this? Oh, I'm so glad your journalism is working out for you. It's the weekend. Get out of my office. But I don't. My dean is starting to sound more and more like Batman's the Joker. But anyway, but the thing is, like, a lot of this script feels like it might have been set in a more adult setting. You know, I don't mean like a porn shoot. I mean like it seems like it would have been set in a normal, like, everyday kind of like city or something like that, where like Paul is a journalist. You know, working on the paper. You got a DJ who's working at the local radio station or something like that. You know, because I mean, even Sasha, her character in the college radio station, seems like this thing is reaching far out. Like this is a nationwide fucking show, when really college radio stations barely get off campus.
Right. You know? And when Michelle was driving in the beginning, she was listening to that radio station.
So like, that's what I mean by there's a lot that just seems like maybe this was set in a more like just kind of a regular city, because I know there were rewrites. There has been talk that there were rewrites because when Horta brought his script to the producers, they did have somebody come on and kind of help with the rewrites and stuff. So I don't know if it was that before, but it kind of feels like it here because people are taking their positions at this college way too seriously. Yes. Which I think maybe if it was rewrote, it probably was because Scream 2 came out around this time and it was set at a college campus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Rebecca, which is really funny because Rebecca Gayheart and Joshua Jackson are both in that movie, and Sarah Michelle Gellar's, and they're all in the same class, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So Paul and Natalie go to talk, and he thinks that an urban legend serial killer is a stretch. He wants to know why now, and Natalie says because tonight is the 25th anniversary of the Stanley Hall massacre. And they decide to go investigate if that story is true. So they run into the creepy janitor and ask him about Stanley Hall, but all he says is Dr. Wexler.
Now, are you starting to feel what I meant in last episode when I mentioned that like all these movies are basically Scooby-Doo?
Yeah, you didn't say that until this one? But
I thought I said it last episode. Well, all these movies are basically Scooby-Doo. You have creepy janitors, creepy professors, and you're trying to figure out who the killer is. Or, well, in Scooby-Doo, nobody was getting fucking murdered. That'd be a different Scooby-Doo. I don't remember that one. I fucking imagine Don Knotts guest starring on the one where people are actually being murdered. But anyway, which by the end of this movie, because now we're into the part of the movie where we're investigating this fucking Stanley Hall massacre. And by the end of this movie, you find out this whole side plot about this haunted fucking dorm room is all just a red herring. It has nothing to do with the actual killer's motive. And I guess that's cool as a red herring, but I feel like we spend way too much time Scooby-Dooing this fucking thing.
Yeah.
I get why they do it, because it makes Robert Englund's character more of like, you start thinking he might be the killer. You know, they start kind of pointing at him, especially the way the creepy janitor is leaving newspapers in Paul's desk.
Right.
But I think you could have done that without it. I mean, it's Robert Englund. He looks like he's about to murder these kids at any moment.
He was annoyed with them from the beginning.
Yes, he's like the creepiest motherfucker on campus at Haunted University. But
Haunted you.
Yeah, so I think you could have done without this, and maybe we could have got a few more urban legend deaths in there.
So Natalie and Paul go to talk to Dr. Wexler, but he isn't in his office, so they start snooping. Natalie ends up finding almost the same jacket that the person in the woods had, and they find an axe. By the way, the axe that was used in the murder in the beginning and the axe they find are two different axes.
Are they?
Because I'm pretty sure the one in the beginning had a double head.
And how do they know it's an axe?
How do they know what's an axe?
The murder weapon?
Because I think it was in the paper.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they get caught by Dr. Wexler and they have a meeting with the dean and Reese. And the dean is pissed that they're accusing the doctor of being the killer. The dean then brings up Natalie's reckless endangerment charge and tells Paul that he's off the paper.
Yeah, and then Paul, fucking annoying as he is, starts bringing up the school charter. Like, dear God, just don't. but I love how, like, everybody keeps bringing up Damon. It's like, no, it's the weekend. It's the weekend. He's gone. This is the weekend. But I fucking love Robert Englund. And like you said, he is annoyed with these kids from the very beginning. Yeah. So like I said, you didn't need the whole subplot to have a red herring out of this character. But one thing I love about this movie is I haven't mentioned this yet, but it's actually a well shot movie, you know, for what it is. I think it looks really good, especially for a first time director. And the score is great too. Christopher Young does the score here, and he did Sinister from 2012 and The Grudge from 2004. But his best composed stuff is in Hellraiser and Hellraiser 2. That's an amazing score, man.
So Natalie goes to talk to Brenda as she's doing laps in the pool. Natalie can't get in the door when she sees someone in a coat, and she freaks out and smashes a window, but it's just their friend.
Why does everyone have the same parka?
By the way.
Okay.
Why is they wearing a parka in the pool or in the swimming area,
Why
not
does
in the pool?
Anybody have a parka, period?
Because have you ever been in one of those areas with the fucking pool?
Oh, it's hot as shit.
It's so fucking
it's
hot.
Muggy.
Yes.
You got a parka?
Right?
That's what you have?
So Natalie finally tells Brenda she knew Michelle and tells her that when her and Michelle were in high school, they played the high beam game to play tricks on people. Sorry. And they ended up speeding and chasing someone, and that person lost control, wrecked, and died. Natalie says that she was mad at Michelle after that and stopped talking to her. Natalie says that she wants to go home for a few days, and Brenda tells her to let loose and go to the party tonight.
Which, I'm sorry, Brenda, but your friend just told you how she participated in a murder.
Right.
And this, which I guess when we find out about Brenda later, we kind of get that. But like, okay, Natalie. Oh, anyway, so let's talk about the killer here. You know, we are obviously trying to make a horror icon with this killer in this movie with the snow parka and the axe and stuff like that. It's kind of memorable, but it's kind of lame because the thing is, it's not winter.
Right.
And in the script, though, before the rewrites and stuff, it was supposed to take place in the middle of winter, which honestly, I need more slashers in the snow.
Yeah.
So if you guys are making slashers, do it in the snow because that is a cool image. Womp Stomp Films just put out their short film, Never Hike in the Snow, which is a Friday the 13th movie in the snow, and it's amazing.
Nice.
Because you get so many cool blood splatters.
That's what I was thinking.
That's the good part. But no, it was supposed to take place in the snow, and so instead of like, using fake snow and having everybody dress in winter clothing, they nixed that idea. But they kept the killer in the parka, so our villain is dressed like Kurt Russell from The Thing. I'm just like, it just doesn't make much sense.
No, it
doesn't fit quite right. Like I said,
were they trying to do I Know What You Did Last Summer?
I probably. They're probably trying to ape that. Well, because they're trying to make their killers stick out. And I guess it does stick out because we're not in winter.
I guess, yeah.
But the fake outs, then don't put the fake outs in your movie. Like
Right.
like the part where the dean or the professor, Freddy Krueger, has the same parka.
Right.
And this girl walking into the pool has the same parka. And that would have made more sense if it's the winter.
Right.
Even though I think Robert Englund says something about he has it for his folklore class or something like that. Which,
but still,
what are you talking about with?
I don't think the parka was that. I think it was the axe.
Oh, maybe.
I think he was talking about the axe.
That parka's for winter. But again, what professor has props? Like
The urban legend one?
Fucking Carrot Top coming out to teach your class?
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway.
So Paul finds a paper on his desk, and it's about the Stanley Hall Massacre, and it shows that Dr. Wexler was the only survivor from that.
Yes. So back on the red hand. See, you didn't need...
Didn't
I don't know.
need that.
I was thinking he was maybe the murderer earlier before they even were like, oh, he was involved in this whole thing. He was involved in the Scooby-Doo wing at Haunted University.
So Reese and the dean meet in the parking lot, and she thinks that they need some extra security for this party or whatever.
Yeah.
And the dean tells her not to worry so much. And when she leaves, the dean gets sliced in his Achilles tendon.
Which I love how she's like, oh, yeah, by the way, I'll talk about that. But I love how she's like, fucking, like, we need more security. He's like, oh, no. And then she's like, well, what about Damon Brooks? He's been missing for quite some time and no one's heard of it. Oh, it's the weekend.
He's skiing.
He's skiing. He's probably in a hotel somewhere with a girl or a guy or an animal. Our students fuck animals.
He didn't say that.
No, he didn't say that. I wish he would. That would. It's the weekend.
So the dean gets sliced in the Achilles tendon.
Fuck.
And when he crawls away, he then gets run over by a car. And when this car runs him over, it pushes him into those car spike things.
Yeah, which I think the dean gets the best death in this fucking movie. It's so awesome.
That slice.
Oh, yes. That is first, and they show it. I think, and again, it kind of it proves my point that because they kind of show the gore a little bit here, and when they do it, that makes it so much more fun.
Right.
Like you get, I don't know, you get more of a reaction out of me when your movie's stupid as shit, and you have this. But anyway. The Achilles tendon deaths get me every time they're in a movie. We watched Pet Sematary, which has that in it, where poor fucking Fred Gwynn gets his shit sliced open. And I don't know why that scares me so bad. That's one of my irrational fears, is getting my Achilles tendon sliced, because you know what happens, right? That tendon rolls up inside your leg.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. So fuck all that shit. But this is based off of an urban legend of people hiding under your car and slashing your ankles to rob you, which it's usually, those stories usually have it's usually a woman.
Right.
And again, when you really start thinking about the urban legends, they don't make much sense, because why would somebody hide under your car to rob you? But I don't know.
Whatever. But you have that irrational fear. I have an irrational fear of those car spikes. And I'll tell you why. I will tell you why.
Okay.
Because they always have them at the lake. I don't know if they do anywhere else, but our lakes have them. And
are those things to keep you from backing up into somebody?
No, they're to keep you from going in the exit.
Oh, okay.
without paying.
Oh,
Because
okay.
you have to pay to go into those places.
And this is a parking garage, I think, so that makes sense.
Yeah. So they always freak me out because one time when I was little, and this opened that memory for me, okay? One time when I was little, I was with my sister and her husband, and they backed up into those spikes.
Uh-huh.
I think we were leaving the lake, and they backed up into those spikes, and her husband got out of the car and started punching the car. And that was the only time that I'd ever seen anybody like punch something like that. That was like the first time.
Uh-huh.
And it freaked me the fuck out.
I feel like you have more of a rational fear of someone freaking the fuck out.
Maybe
than the
that's what it
tire
is.
spikes.
But every time I had to drive over one of those things, because we went to the lake a lot this summer, and every time I had to drive over that, I fucking cringed.
Because you're more afraid of someone punching your car.
No, not necessarily.
I don't think that's a rational fear at all. I fear fucking people flipping shit over something they've done.
But I really feel like when I drive over those things, my car is gonna get punctured, and then I'm gonna cry. I don't know. So Natalie ends up going to the party, and Paul shows her the paper he found. He says that it is real and that Pendleton covered it up. And he says he thinks Wexler just went a little crazy this year because of the anniversary.
Which, by the way, Paul, there's other anniversaries besides 25 years.
Right. Why not 5, 10, 15,
Yeah. Like,
20?
well, seems like a good time to just go crazy.
Right. Natalie says that they need to call the police, but he says that the dean already warned the police about prank calls from them.
Which, okay, Dean. Like, I get it. You're like, there's some people with these crazy urban legend things running around, and it's the weekend, so they're gonna call in pranks. Do the deans have this much power to call the police station and be like, hey, don't send anybody out to the college this weekend? They're gonna be playing pranks.
I have no idea. So Paul then apologizes for doubting her, and they start to make out. Well, Brenda walks in on this, and she is pissed because I haven't touched on this, but she likes Paul.
Yeah, and you haven't really touched on it because it doesn't feel necessary, because
it doesn't.
It does feel like they try to make this love triangle a thing throughout this whole movie. And it's just like not needed. Like, this is not the movie, you guys.
No. So Reese is walking around doing security, and she thinks she hears something, so she goes to check it out. And she ends up walking into Dr. Wexler's office. It's all in disarray, like someone's rummaged it. And she slips and falls on blood. Then back at the party, Paul tells Parker that he needs to end the party early because Natalie was right. And Parker gets everybody's attention and wants Paul to tell everyone what's going on. So Paul says that there's a killer on campus, and everyone just laughs at him. Parker just makes fun of him and basically says that Paul was doing the killing to get the headline in the paper.
Yeah,
Parker is blaming Paul.
The important paper, the all-important student paper.
The student paper.
Would you see what I mean by, like, it does feel like this wasn't said at a college at one point.
Yeah.
But anyway, so somebody murder Parker already is how I'm feeling about this, because
it's coming up.
In this party, we see a dog with a nose ring, and I think Joshua Jackson mentions it way earlier in the movie, how they were going to pierce the dog's nose. He kind of offhand remarks about it. But we see this dog with a nose pierced, and they have a beer bong in him, and they're feeding him beer.
Leave the poor dog alone.
So Parker got to go.
Yeah.
Parker got to go.
Yeah. So Parker gets a phone call, and the person on the phone says that he's going to die tonight. So Parker looks to see who called, and the call is coming from inside the house. So he goes upstairs because he's like, oh, this is the classic babysitter move.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, you got it wrong. I don't have any kids here or whatever. And the man on the phone says that this one is actually about the woman that dries her dog in the microwave. By the way, I want to play this clip from TikTok. Should I do it now?
Go ahead, because this clip is actually from a avant-garde movie that someone made, like that I'm not going to go into because it's fucking weird and it's shit I like. But this clip is weird as shit.
Creepy, and I love it.
Well, she put her poodle one time in a microwave oven to eat it. Yeah, to eat it. Oh no. No, silly. To dry it. But it exploded. And they were both found dead. She must have been out of her head.
So with that nightmare fuel on a recording, yeah, this is some weird internet meme that's going around, but it does come from a weird short film that somebody made that's really like art. I don't know. It's an artsy movie.
I don't know, but
yeah, that's spooky.
When they said that in this movie,
you
I was
immediately
like,
shot to that.
I was like, TikTok.
Oh man.
I was like, we're gonna include that in the podcast.
I like how you're like TikTok, and I was like, avant-garde creation that someone made.
And you know what's cool is most of the time people are doing makeup to this,
which is
like
really
creepy
weird.
makeup.
Yeah, well, it fits. It's
Yeah.
creepy as shit. That is, like
Yeah.
I said, nightmare fuel right there for you.
So Parker goes down and opens the microwave, and there's blood all in it.
Yeah.
And he runs to the bathroom to puke, and the killer forces a funnel down his throat and makes him ingest Pop Rocks and drain cleaner.
Which is lovely. Which the drain cleaner thing reminded me of Heather's when they, the drain cleaner cocktails. Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry, you haven't seen Heather's, which is another movie I'm surprised you haven't seen because it's one that you would really like. Has Winona Ryder and Christian Slater in it. Anyway, for some reason, I remembered like when I first saw this movie and stuff, and it's been years since I watched it, but like I remembered the dog not actually being killed and popping up later. But I think that was like my mind helping me out because that means Rebecca Gayheart really did put this fucking thing in the goddamn microwave and pop it. This dog did not leave a good life.
Why did I not realize that all of that was connected to the dog being in the mic? What? My brain did not connect. This is literally the
darkest part of the movie where this fucking dog just got blown up in a microwave.
I thought there was just blood in the microwave. I was not even thinking about the dog being in the microwave.
See what I mean? This poor dog did not live a very good life. This poor thing.
I didn't even know.
But it's okay because Michael Rosenbaum is now dead, so it's okay. Again, so during the scene when they're showing Michael Rosenbaum getting the Pop Rocks and the drain cleaner, they do a lot of like quick cuts, and it's real flashy of a scene, and I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
I think it would have been a lot more creepier if they just held a shot, like maybe an overhead shot of the killer doing this shit.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be a lot more like disturbing,
I agree. So Sasha is at work at the radio station and taking a call. Behind her, we see her coworker get killed, and the call Sasha is on gets dropped. So she turns around, and an axe comes flying through the window. And everyone that is listening to the station can hear this going on because she still has her mic on.
Yeah.
And Sasha is running for her life, and Natalie is freaked out. By the way, hold on a second.
Okay.
Natalie's freaked out because she's listening to this. By the way, this fucking microphone gets great fucking range.
Oh man, this is the
she
best. And this is 98.
Place.
So again, like they must have, the college must have paid a lot of money for this wireless microphone.
Maybe that's why they're covering up the murders because they need money.
Maybe because first of all, this like, I don't know, this where her radio station or studio or whatever is located in. It's like the fucking like MC Escher painting, and there's stairways everywhere and shit. And it's like, what is this building?
So Sasha's running for her life. Natalie's freaked out because she's hearing this over the radio, and she goes to try to find Sasha. Sasha gets pushed over this ledge, and the killer makes her fall, but she doesn't die. She like breaks her ankle or something.
Yeah. And how far this fucking microphone reaches it, how far this radio station reaches is still perplexing me. But Tara Reid apparently did her own stunts for this. And by the way, it's not bad. This is pretty good, like little action scene and stuff here. But I don't know. It didn't feel like it needed to be this lengthy.
they were like, we're paying good money for Tara Reid. We're going to use her.
They really were. And so you get a lot of cat and mouse here at this later part of the movie.
Oh, yeah. So Sasha's trying to hide. And then we see Reese in her car with her lights on because she hears this over the radio.
Yeah.
Natalie is running in the rain, and finally she makes it to the station, but she watches Sasha get murdered through the window. And this makes it sound like Natalie did this over the radio. I don't know if they meant to do this.
I don't know. It's kind of dropped because I kind of get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of does seem like maybe like we're getting some Natalie framing stuff, but that shit gets dropped real quick.
Yeah, it does. Because the thing is, like, because Sasha, she goes, Natalie, no. And then she gets killed.
Yeah.
So it makes it sound
I see
like
what you mean.
Natalie's killing her.
It does kind of seem like that, but yeah, that does get dropped pretty quick.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, again, you don't see any gore. Like, we don't see Tara Reid get a hatchet to the face.
And why didn't we could have got blood on that window?
You could have got some blood splatter. Right. Something. What are we doing here?
I see more blood splatter on.
We have a killer with an axe.
Right?
An axe
murderer.
An axe murderer. And we get like, I see no axes penetrating skulls or anything.
we like to see the penetration.
Yes, I like to see my penetration. You know, none of this softcore slasher shit.
Oh my God. So Natalie goes to find Paul, and he is shaking. And Natalie questions where he's been, and she's kind of suspicious.
Yeah.
And he says that he's been looking for help, but he can't find anyone. And he decides that they need to go find a phone that will work so that he can get help. So they run into Brenda as they're going to look for help. Mm-hmm. She ends up going with them. Well, then Reese finds Sasha at the radio station, and she gets back in her car and tries to call the dean, but he doesn't answer. He did. It's the weekend. It was the end for the dean. Anyway, so Paul and the girls are driving, and they stop at the gas station to see if the phone works. The girls are making up because they were fighting or whatever. And then they hear a phone ring, and it's Wexler's phone tone. Because they hear it ring in the class at the beginning of the movie, so they know it's his. So they go to check the back of the car, and they find Wexler's dead body. The girls run for it, and Paul sees all of this and chases them, and Brenda and Natalie split up.
and the fact that Robert Englund gets killed off screen, and we see a giant pool of blood in his office, and it makes me angry because I want to see it. I didn't get to see him
get killed. Yeah,
like I don't know. I don't know why it was like this during this period, because a lot of these slashers did this, and I don't know what film school you went to where it taught you to, tell, don't show.
But was this in the middle of the Satanic Panic or no?
No. That
was like way before that.
The Satanic Panic kind of ended around 95.
Oh, okay, but maybe there's still
that part of the satanic. There's constantly Satanic Panics that pop up,
but maybe they were scared after that.
Maybe, I don't know. It just seemed like the violence was very toned down, which didn't seem like it needed to be.
I understand where you're coming from, but I'm trying to see it as a consumer's point of view, or like
I guess if this was rated PG-13, I'd understand, but this is a rated R film.
That's true.
So it's like, well, you might as well have thrown in a little blood. And by the way, why was this rated R?
That's what I want to know.
Is there there's a lot of there's a whole scene where Danielle Harris is getting railed against the bed. That's true. There's your R rating.
That's true. So Natalie finds someone driving, and it's the creepy janitor. She gets in his
old man Jenkins.
She gets in his truck and sees his coat in the back.
He has a fucking parka too.
Yes.
These motherfuckers shop at the same parka store.
Apparently, it's the school mascot, or not mascot. It's the school what is that called?
The parka store.
No.
We have all your parka needs and access too.
Where you get the school.
Oh, this is the school uniform as a parka.
Oh my God, not uniform.
I'm pissing Brittany.
Stop. Souvenir store. Souvenir. That's the word I was looking for.
Well, this is a shitty souvenir, man.
I I guess. Anyway, so Natalie wants to get out, but she can't get the door open. Then they see someone driving with the lights on, without the lights on. So the janitor flashes them. And Natalie's freaking out. She's like, don't do that.
Don't flash the lights.
Well, the car ends up turning around and it's the killer. The killer ends up making them crash and the janitor dies. And Natalie gets out and runs to campus. So, okay, the gas station is either really close to the campus and they made it seem like Michelle was driving really far for no reason. I don't know. I'm so confused. Maybe Michelle was driving in the other direction.
Where was she
towards
going?
the school? Maybe she was going towards the school and she was going to run out of gas.
I guess she was out for a drive listening to Bonnie Tyler.
I don't know. Anyway, so Reese goes back to her office and she gets her gun because she is ready for
Which, by the
business.
way, this is such a cock tease because at the beginning of the film, when we first meet Reese, she's in her office watching a Pam Grier movie, and I believe it's Coffee. I don't know which Pam Grier movie, but it's one. Pam Grier was. She's kick ass. So and she's in there like really enjoying it with her gun and shit like that, which is very irresponsible, but whatever. And so you think when she gets this gun, she's about to blow some motherfuckers away.
Right.
She's about to go full on Donald Pleasant. I shot him 6 times. You think that's how this is going to end, but no.
So Natalie gets to campus and hears someone shouting in Stanley Hall, but it's like boarded up, so she has to break in. She goes up the stairs and gets locked into a room, and she starts seeing all of her dead friends.
Which is Michael Rosenbaum hanging from chains? Who's hanging from chains in this scene?
I have no idea.
Because whoever this is died twice because it looks like they've been killed in a whole different way. That man died 2 deaths.
Maybe so. She then sees Brenda laying on this bed and she goes to her knees and she just starts to cry. But Brenda isn't dead. She sits up and knocks Natalie out. When Natalie comes to, Brenda has her tied to a bed with tape on her mouth, and Natalie wants to know why. Oh, Brenda ends up taking the tape off. I don't fucking know. This scene kind of goes by quickly and doesn't hold her hand really.
We're in the whole period of time where the killer's taking a pause to explain why they're killing everybody.
Yeah. Natalie wants to know why, and Brenda starts showing her pictures of her boyfriend and then shows her the article of when he got killed. Brenda says that Payback is a bitch, and then she tells Natalie she is going to take her kidney. Wait, hold on. Let me back up before I go into this.
Yeah.
This boyfriend was the one that Natalie and Michelle accidentally killed during their game or whatever.
The man they murdered.
Right. And
if you missed it, they kind of gloss over it.
Yes. But Brenda comes back for revenge.
Yeah. Which again, that the whole hall, the Scooby-Doo area had nothing to do with any of this.
No. Brenda's back for payback, and she tells Natalie that she's going to take her kidney like the urban legend. And Brenda says that she is going to frame Wexler for all of this.
Which is not a good idea because Wexler's been dead for at least 2 hours.
Right.
And I feel like they're going to be able to tell.
Right. Like, what the fuck?
So, like I said earlier, 90-pound Rebecca Gayheart is the killer this whole time. And you see this killer throughout the whole movie. They're at least 6 foot fucking tall.
Right.
And built like the goddamn linebacker.
Right. So, did they say, like, in the making of this or whatever, that somebody else was wearing this parka and hiding?
Well, it's a stuntman who did who did the things, which was kind of weird. Like, get a smaller stuntman. Is all I got to say, because which I guess obviously I'm nitpicking a little bit here. I mean, I'm sure if they got somebody who looked exactly like Rebecca Gayheart, that would have been a bad move, because then you're like, well, that's obviously Rebecca Gayheart.
Right.
It's obviously a woman. So I see why they did it. It's just kind of like,
You didn't need to do that.
But I mean, it is kind of better than last week's episode where I Know What You Did Last Summer. It was none of them. It was just a fisherman who was kind of a fucked up person anyways.
Right. So Brenda then asks Natalie why she doesn't want to be an urban legend like everyone else. Because what? Because I don't want to die? What? Like, that doesn't make sense. So she goes to put a gag in Natalie's mouth, and Natalie bites her. So Brenda starts to cut her when Reese comes in. Reese makes her drop the scalpel and goes to pat her down, but Brenda pulls out a knife and cuts her.
Which, by the way, you know, a little bit of applause when Reese busts in with the gun and shit like that. Because like I said, you think this whole time she's about to take care of business.
Right.
It gets dropped.
So they wrestle around, and Brenda gets Reese's gun and shoots her in the stomach. She then points the gun at Natalie when Paul walks in. And he just walks in nonchalantly like nothing's fucking happening.
He walks in like fucking Columbo, like one more thing. Just fucking
like,
walks
what?
in. Like he solved this entire fucking thing on his own. And he's...
What?
One more thing, Mr. Killer.
Like nobody had just fucking got shot and nobody was holding a fucking gun. He just fucking walks in.
Well, because he's hard as nails journalist, Paul.
You almost said Alan, didn't you?
Alan. I almost said Alan.
I was looking at you and you stopped yourself.
He's just got those perfect fucking business cards.
Anyway, so he starts talking about the article he could write about this, and Brenda says they would be so hot together. And Paul wants the gun, but Brenda isn't falling for it. And then all of a sudden she gets shot by Reese because Reese has another gun.
Yeah.
Well, Natalie gets the gun from Brenda and shoots Brenda again, and she falls out of the window. Can you get shot so hard by a handgun that you just fly out of a window?
In this movie, you can, yes. See, the thing is, it's movie bullets, okay? Movie bullets are a little stronger than your normal everyday bullets.
I guess so.
Like I said, man, dude, this movie's so dope.
She was like 4 feet from the fucking window, too. Like, she
really
got
was.
pulled. Like,
she fucking launched out of this goddamn window. Which,
What the hell?
with Brenda's planning, though, I'm not fully convinced that this wasn't a planned thing, where if I get shot, I'm launching out the window backwards. This is my thing. I got a mattress down there ready to catch me. We're good.
right. So they call the paramedics to help Reese. And then Paul and Natalie are driving. And Natalie says that this will become a legend also. And Paul says, if this is an urban legend, then when do they get to the twist? And then that's when we see Brenda pop up in the backseat with an axe. And they end up crashing. Brenda goes flying through the windshield and into a body of water under a bridge.
And dun dun dun. Which, again, it kind of feels like they just leave Reese to fucking bleed out.
They called the paramedics.
Yeah, but somebody... Yeah. Where are you driving? You could have just stayed with her. I would have stayed with her. Where are y'all going to get help? But they're like, but they just called the paramedics, so help is on its way. So where are they going?
I have no idea.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So now we're in the future, and there is more college students talking about this legend.
And by the way, there's a black guy here, so I guess the college has changed for the better.
I mean, Reese is black.
Yeah, but she's the only black person in this entire movie
That's true.
until this
That's
part.
true. Well, no one believes this legend that the guy is telling. Then a woman says that she's going to tell the story how it actually goes, and that woman is
Brenda. Dun, dun, dun. Which, by the way, one of the girls in this little circle mentions how I think it was the Noxzema girl. The Rebecca Gayheart plays Brenda. Actually, was in the Noxzema commercials.
Oh, okay.
So it's a neat little throw. Urban Legend opened in the United States on September 25th, 1998, earning $10.5 million in its opening weekend, and it went on to gross $38 million domestically, and altogether with overseas sales and stuff. Overseas sales, sorry.
Sales.
Wow, say that a million times fast. But it racked up about $72 million against its $14 million budget. So this thing was pretty successful,
Yeah.
as all these movies are.
Right.
Like, these movies were wildly successful. But response was kind of mixed, mostly because when this came out, like I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, Scream and Scream 2, the powerhouses of the late 90s slashers were still fresh. And of course, the comparison between the two was made with most critics, and honestly, when you hold Urban Legend up to Scream or the sequels and stuff like that, it kind of pales in comparison. So it's not very fair, I think.
Right.
So you might read a shit ton of negative reviews, and don't even go to Roger Ebert's review of the movie because we all know how he feels about slashers. But of course, sequels were made. All of which none of the cast returns, and they're separate stories each time. Loretta Devine does return in part 2 as her character Reese, but she barely mentions anything that happened in the first movie. So it's kind of, I don't know if that's the same character when I think back on it. But anyway,
that's weird.
None of them really have. Honestly, all of them lack the style this one does. Like those next two are really low budget, kind of direct to video kind of sequel looking movies.
Oh yeah.
They do have a pretty good cast. I think one of the ladies from House is in the second one, which I don't remember her name at the moment. But anyway, I've had fun poking fun at this movie today. So a lot of you might think I hate it or anything like that, but I find this movie a lot of fun. I'm a fan of these types of slashers. I'm kind of a sucker for these things. And honestly, the only biggest problem I have with the whole thing is a lack of gore, as I've said.
Right.
This movie's stupid as shit. And it really could have used a lot more blood and stuff. But I think Urban Legend keeps things kind of fresh, in 1998 by applying old and new. I kind of like the way this movie does that. Old urban legends used as a backdrop for this new kind of slasher material, as well as you have the cast of like new faces sharing the screen with old favorites like Robert Englund and Brad Dourif and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It's fun. It's enough to make Urban Legend probably one of the more unique films we will discuss this month when you compare these side by side.
Right.
What saves this movie truly, though, is that it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's not as super dark and serious as I Know What You Did Last Summer. That we did last year. That movie is dreary as fuck. Yes. There's barely any lighting, but this movie is kind of light on its feet and stuff like that. So it's not too heavy. You could watch this and have a good time. And of course, I'm a sucker for self-referential stuff going on in my slasher movies. I enjoy it. I enjoyed this type of slasher. But I could continue blowing this film until next week. But let's hear what you thought of Urban Legend from 1998.
It was. I'm going to compare this movie. Okay, I'm going to compare this movie to Jennifer Love Hewitt.
It's perfectly fine. Like I said, it's perfectly fine to compare these. Go ahead.
No, I'm comparing it to Jennifer
Love.
To the
actress herself.
Yes.
Okay.
It's just kind of, it's there.
It's okay.
It's fine.
It's okay. Okay.
I mean, it's not terrible. I don't hate it. It's not my favorite. And I don't know why. It just was kind of boring to me. Not boring. It wasn't interesting enough.
Like I said, though, if it had like a massive amount of gore and shit and like axes being slung into people's foreheads and shit like that, would that have like made up for it?
Well, yeah.
See what I mean by like this movie's got the dumbness of one of those gory ass slashers.
Right.
It's dumb as sin. And so I think like that would have really catapulted it up for me.
Oh, yeah.
And the problem with these late 90s slashers is they didn't do enough different. You know what I mean? All of them didn't quite reach different status enough. You know what I mean? They kind of stuck to that same formula almost to
a fault.
Yeah, almost to a fault. Even though, like I said, I love these types of movies. Yes. I'm a sucker for them. I think the one movie that Kevin Williamson even wrote it, the one movie that did stick out that I did really want to do it this month, but it didn't fit with the programming was The Faculty. I think that movie really does some different shit, and it's a whole lot of fun. Like it is a lot of fun and not much gore, honestly.
Oh, really?
In that movie. Yeah. Not much gore in that movie either, but it handles itself right. And it's Robert Rodriguez directing. So, I mean, it's shit ton of fun. He directed From Dusk Till Dawn,
Oh, okay.
But anyway, so you felt like it was like, would you watch it again?
Sure.
Did you find any of it scary?
Well, no.
When I saw this as a kid, I found it scary as fuck. But, as an adult, it's not super scary. But it's okay. It's fun. It's fun to me. But I understand how, like, the casual viewer would find it just meh. It was okay. Yeah. Didn't offend me or anything. It wasn't bad.
Would I recommend it to somebody? Probably.
See, so that's what I mean. So that's cool. So anyway, that's Urban Legend this week. If this is your favorite slasher movie, let us know. I enjoy hearing these movies that I think are just, they're good. And then people are like, this is my favorite fucking movie. Like, I find that fascinating because then I want to know, why is it your favorite movie? Why do you like it over other slashers and shit like that? So
you always have so many questions.
I do, because it's so much fun to understand like what people's thoughts are about movies and shit like that. I think that's why I make a terrible movie critic. Because I don't give a fuck about what I think about these movies. I know what I think, but I want to know what you think about them. Anyway. So that's Urban Legend this week from 1998. Now we're sticking in the same year, I believe. I believe the next movie is still in 1998, and we're heading into Halloween territory, which I think it's very fitting because the week that Halloween comes out, the weekend that Halloween comes out, that following Monday, our episode on a Halloween movie will come out, and it is Halloween H2O, which has the stupidest title out of all the Halloween movies.
Is this based in the ocean?
No, it has nothing to do with water. It's actually technically Halloween 20 years later, only shortened to H2O. Because it takes place. Yeah, it takes place 20 years after the original 2 Halloween movies. So we have a sequel to Halloween Part 1 and 2.
Okay.
Ignoring the franchise. This is the first time they did this, where they just ignored everything. No, it is not the first time they did this, because Halloween 3 ignored the whole franchise. But anyway, so the second time we're ignoring it. But we got Jamie Lee Curtis. We got Josh Hartnett. We got a bunch of... You have a problem with the way I say Hartnett. Josh Hartnett. Okay. Is it like The Weeknd? Anyway.
That's what it sounds like when you're saying it.
So until next week, when we visit Michael Myers, the shittiest mask I've ever seen. But anyway, I'm Lee Evans saying stay spooky.
And I'm Brittany, stay horrific.
Bye-bye.
And she put her dog in the microwave oven.
It's The Weeknd. Thanks for listening. To get a hold of us and submit your stories, fan mail, and death threats, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and nightofthehorrorfile.com. Our theme song was written and performed by John Brennan, used with permission. Find John at shopjb.bandcamp.com and at badtechno.com. If you like what you hear, leave a good review wherever you listen to podcasts, and share the show on your social media. See you next week.